G'day everyone, Prep Aussie here. I hope you're all well in whatever part of the world you're watching this video. Today is Wednesday, the 20th of March, 2019, and the time here is 0920 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Well folks, I'm going to go on a rhetoric chase today, and I'm going to show to you just how dangerous what happened in New Zealand is to us, just to normal everyday people. So, first of all, I'd like to get my kind sponsor on board. Totally Rawsome golden activated turmeric paste. As I said, and I've said before, if you have any joint problems, inflammation of your joints, or just inflammation in general, get this stuff. It is fantastic, and I'm not kidding you. If my knee, I basically wouldn't be able to walk properly without taking this stuff because of my knee, because it's that bad because of all the karate and rugby and everything else I did. There's where they are on Sundays, Bundle Farmers Market, 145 Bundle Road, Surfers Paradise, and you can contact them as per the information there, mobile and email. If you go on the website, just contact them by going on the mailing list, etc. Get it? It works fantastically well. Okay. Now, to all those people, and this kind of amazes me a little bit, people died in New Zealand. People died in Melbourne. People died at the Manchester concert bombing. They died. All this stuff about false flags, I don't actually understand this term, false flags. If you want to understand that better, for me personally, if you're saying it was organised, Christchurch, etc., all these other things are organised by others for these people to carry out as, classifying that as a false flag, then yes, I believe you. This Brendan Tarrant, he's just not some cowcocky from Grafton who decided to go over to New Zealand and blow people away. This guy was trained. If you watched any of the video, then you will know that he was trained. And the reason I'm saying that is because if you watch his reaction as when the gun's firing, he's been trained. No two ways about it. Whether he did 2 years on a shooter's range or wherever he was taught to do whatever he did, he's been taught. Now, if you've used a semi-automatic rifle or weapon, the recoil on them is severe. It literally goes up unless you know how to control it. That man was well versed in recoil, and that's all you need to know that he was trained. Whether he wasn't an SAS black or look, I have no idea about any of that shit, but I know that he was trained in using that weapon and handguns and anything else he was trained at. Who the people were that trained him is a whole nother story. That's the false flag as far as I'm concerned. There's been a lot of talk about good old Skippy being down in New Zealand, as in John Podesta, and then all of a sudden we've got a mass killing after he says, New Zealand's ripe for a mass killing. Well, that's kind of freaky. But to be honest with you folks, that's about as far as I'm going to look into it. I'll leave that other sort of stuff up to investigative reporters like SGT Report, etc. Kind of fishy, but that's about as far as I'm going to go with it. I personally haven't watched the videos. I've watched little bits and pieces, excerpts that people have sent me. I'm not going to watch the videos. Why? I would suggest that you all don't watch the videos. What's the point? People died. It's kind of offensive. It's very offensive, actually. But living in this video gamey type world that we're living in, people actually think that that's okay. And I notice that it's a lot of people younger than me, people my generation, 55, 50s, maybe a bit younger. We wouldn't watch that sort of shit. And the reason we don't watch that sort of shit is because regardless of who they are or whatever, it's disrespectful. Like I have a hard time stomaching watching Second World War, First World War videos of people getting blown away and all that sort of stuff. I just think it's disrespectful. That person died. So I hope you understand that. Don't send me any more videos. I'm not going to watch them. I just won't. I haven't watched them anyway, so stop sending them to me if you're trying to send them to me. Just remember that people did die. It's not a game, it's not a video game. People actually died. Kids died. Let's remember this. The innocent ones here are the kids, as regards to the adults and the wives, the wives and the men folk, etc. But kids are innocent. Personally, if you want my opinion, just for killing a kid, he needs to be strung up by his nuts with piano wire. Apart from everything else, but okay. So, but see, as I said to you the other day, people forget. There's three types of Islam, as far as I know, maybe 4. And a lot of these people don't get on because of their views on their own religion. Within their own religion, they just hate each other. But their overriding hate is for Christians, Catholics, Christians, whatever you want to call them. And that's a fact. You can't get away from that. And I've said this to you before, and I'll say it again. The Muslims that I know are decent, hard-working people, and they don't want anybody to bother them. They don't want to bother anyone else. They just want to get up, go to work, get home, do what they do, share time with their families or anyone else who wants to share time with them, have a beer. That's what these people are about. They just don't advertise that fact. The other problem with the Muslims, a problem with the Muslims is it's like the mafia. They won't give each other up. And if they got found out to be giving each other up, then they would literally be killed. But as I said, people have short-term memory loss, because the reason why people like us are pissed off is because you keep prodding a bear and eventually the bear's going to bite you. And then people turn around and go, that bear's really bad because he bit someone. We've got to kill it. Well, if you're poking it with an electric prodder 12 hours a day, I'm guessing that it's going to get pretty pissed off in the end. And that's where we're at. We're a bear that's been pissed off. And we're sick of people poking us. Regardless of who you are and where you're from, the Muslim community needs to understand that you can't have these people in your mosque telling people that we're going to take over the world, we're going to kill everyone that doesn't adjust to our lifestyles, etc., etc. Man, you can't come to Australia and say that shit. The diversification here in Australia is pretty widespread, and I would say that this is just in general. The Muslim religion is probably like a pork sandwich at a bar mitzvah here in Australia. It just doesn't. It kind of just doesn't adapt, and it doesn't relate to the Australian surfy barbecues, dog-loving, everyday people. So I'm kind of surprised that 30 years ago they decided to import people from Lebanon who were literally fighting in the street one day, killing Christians, and then they brought them to Australia. That's what I don't get. The lifestyle here, is Australia first, everyone else second, and look after our mates. Have a beer, have a laugh, have a barbie, all that sort of stuff. The Muslim religion is the opposite of that. And it's funny because I watched an ABC thing recently about that particular thing about the Lebanese Muslims. And they came here and they started living the Australian lifestyle. And then all of a sudden, 20, 30 years later, they started feeling that it wasn't right for them. Oh my God, I've sinned, if that's the case, guys, if you're watching this and you're one of those people, you should be getting on a plane and going back to wherever you came from, because your rhetoric is wasted here. Rhetoric at all is wasted, really. You know, it just does my head in. I'm going to show you a couple of things here from the ABC that if you weren't paying attention, because of what's happened in New Zealand, basically anyone like me who wants to have a say about anything is basically classed as a white supremacist now. Yeah, I'm white. No, I don't agree with this white supremacist shit, but okay, if you want to call me a white supremacist, I guess I am. I try to get along with everybody, really. But the problem is that the left has done a huge lefty. And now we're all, you know, because of this, we're all white supremacists. And they are seriously considering shutting YouTube, Facebook down, etc. for people like us. So you'll only hear one voice. Do you understand that? That's what pisses me off. One voice. One thing I would like you to all listen to is, and regardless of the fact that this dipshit, the New Zealand Prime Minister, I'm sorry, but she is an absolute dipshit. What's going on in your country where you let someone like that rule your country? Not only did she, in my mind, right, and I'm saying this as someone who's not religious based at all, really, but in my mind, she blasphemed in the regard where she actually stuck her middle finger up at all the Kiwis and went and put a hijab on. She's not fucking Islamic. She's not a Muslim. Why? Why would she... That whole thing smacks of Muslim Brotherhood. And I'm sorry to say that, but that's true. Then, if you listen to the speech that she said in Parliament yesterday, man, if I'd been standing next to her, I would have slapped her. I'm sorry to say that, but I actually would have slapped her for her irreverence to all of the Anzac soldiers who have died in battle. Because she used the word fallen. She actually described the people who got killed in the mosque as fallen warriors. Now, if you know anything at all about politics, the one thing you do not do is cross the line from soldiers to civilians and use the word fallen. Because what you're actually doing there is actually telling people that in your mind, these people were fallen soldiers for whatever it was they got killed because of. This woman is actually a Muslim. I'm pretty sure the speech was written by someone in Muslim Brotherhood. I'd love to know who actually wrote that speech, because if you're a Kiwi, you should be up in arms. Because I am, and I'm an Australian. And I heard it and I went, hang on a fucking minute, what did she just say? Did she say fallen? She has absolutely 110% stuck her middle finger up at all the Aussie and Kiwi soldiers and used the word fallen. These people were not warriors. They were just people in a mosque. Listen to it. If you don't believe me, she uses the word fallen. So let's go to this, what I wanted to show you. You'll see from the top here, I actually sent this to Sean from SGT Report, because and then I tried to find it again, but I couldn't find any of this stuff on the ABC. It's all gone. So I'm going to click on these links as we're going, and hopefully, I don't even know if they're going to open up. Okay, here's the first one. Church attacks. This is from the ABC in Australia, where all the lefties live. Church attacks are a stark warning of toxic political environment that allows hate to flourish. And there's a good picture of good old Jacinta down here wearing her Muslim Brotherhood garb. You got to read, guys. For anyone to write this quick after the event, it tells you all you need to know that, hang on a minute, this is like processed bloody meat. They just ran it off the computer and put it straight onto the thing. They knew it was coming. Here's the next one. Accused church mosque shooter Brenton Tarrant used same radicalisation tactics as Islamic State. Now, how did they know that? It was 2 days later. And do they understand what the tactics of the Islamic State is? It's just mind-boggling. People believe this shit. There's people out there. I've actually gotten to the point now where I actually realised I'm probably wasting my time doing these videos because so many people are asleep. Because if people are reading that shit, then I'm sorry, but what we're fighting against is much, much bigger than what we believe. Because if they're putting that sort of shit in the newspaper 2 days after the event, how does anybody know that? It's just bullshit. Christchurch shooting shows New Zealand PM Jacinda Ardern is a leader of our times. And there she is wearing the Muslim Brotherhood. Because don't get me wrong, this is actually Muslim Brotherhood, this colour and everything else, as far as I remember someone telling me. That's fucking scary. If you're in New Zealand, you need to be really shit scared worried at the moment because that is scary. That is really scary. I'm sorry, but she had no reason to do that apart from the fact to prove to a Muslim Brotherhood family that she was doing that, showing solidarity and using the word fallen, which is i.e. soldiers of Islam. I'm not making this shit up. I'm not telling you this because it's just something that I'm making up. This is actually fact. I'm showing you facts. This is what's going out into the community as we speak. This one here. Could a senator like Fraser Anning be expelled from Parliament for offensive statements? Okay, this was the one that really, really worried me. I know the others were pretty worrying. But you see what they're doing here. They're dropping they're not dropping a drop. They're dropping huge buckets in the ocean type of thing. So that the lefty hordes get hold of this and then they start saying, yeah, we've got to get this guy out of Parliament. Do you understand the legal precedent that would send? Think about that. It would mean, hey, and look, I'm not saying he's right, and I'm not saying he's wrong. What I'm saying is the man, and I'm sorry if it was a woman, I'd say the same thing. A man or a woman in the Australian Parliament has the right to say what they want. That's why we elected them. That's why every single Australian who's seeing that, I'm going to put all these links in the description box. You need to be deep shit worried because the lefties have just told you that they are now going to absolute pressure 110% to get this guy expelled from Parliament. Read it. You don't believe me? Read it. It's very scary, folks. So you see what happened here. The Kiwis got shot up by an Aussie. They're going to lose their guns because of an Aussie. Over here, we're going to lose our freedom of speech because of the Aussie who shot the Kiwis, because we can't be seen to be saying things that piss other people off here in Australia. Do you see where we're going here, folks? One last thing. Did you all hear about this? New Zealand shooting comments spark diplomatic row as Scott Morrison calls in Turkish ambassador. And as you all know, I am not religious and I am not political at all. But I have to say on this point, Scott Morrison is 110% bang on. The Turkish PM, I'm going to put that link in the description as well. The Turkish PM said he is going to send Aussies and Kiwis home in caskets. Yesterday. He said it yesterday, live, on TV. Imagine that. He said, you sent your blokes over here in the First World War to kill us all because we're Muslims, and we're now going to send you all back in caskets if you come here, sort of thing. That's what he said. It's actually described in the thing, in the link. Read it. But Fraser Anning can't say something like, which is true by the way. And as I said, look, not all Muslims are the same, guys. You can't say that. But if you're going to put a fox in a hen house, it might behave itself for a while, but then something's wrong and it turns. And I told you, Usman Khawaja's the Australian vice captain, well, he was vice captain at some stage, I think, of the Australian cricket team. No higher honour in this country. His brother got arrested for terrorism. But he didn't know anything about it. Neither did his family. That's a fact. It's actually a fact. But they wiped it off ABC. You cannot find it. If you don't believe me, look it up. But it's true. Usman Khawaja's brother is currently in jail for terrorism. Terrorism-related offences. He was actually planning to blow up the Australian Parliament or New Zealand, or the New South Wales Parliament or something like that. Him and 10 of his mates or some shit. The Australian cricket team player's brother is a terrorist. And look, as you know, rhetoric is rhetoric, isn't it? But the truth is the truth. And if you're going to put a fox in a hen house, don't expect hens or eggs, because after a while the fox is going to kill them all. But where do you go with this? Common sense has to prevail, doesn't it? And the only way this is going to change, sadly, folks, is one of two reasons. One, the Muslims actually all get together and say, right, you shitheads, you're all going out of this country. You're all rotten eggs. Parramatta Mosque, Lakemba Mosque, I don't know, where's the other mosque? I know they're the bad ones. Western Sydney Mosque, all those shitheads who preach hate, vile shit, whatever they preach, shut it. Why aren't they shut down? Why aren't the local Muslims saying that's got to be shut down right now? And those people expelled out of the country, like they're doing in Austria. They're actually shutting the mosque down and kicking the people out of the country. They're not kicking the Muslims out, they're kicking all the shitheads out. So look, the rhetoric is thick and fast, but I warn you, I absolutely warn you as Australians and New Zealanders, if we do not stand up and say something, you're going to watch people like Fraser Anning get kicked out of the Australian Parliament. And you might not think that that's a big deal, but I can tell you right now, you got Maoris in the New Zealand government who turn around and go, well, hang on, this is starting to affect our lifestyle, our culture, etc., etc. Gone. So this is a warning, as always. to be very, very wary of what's being said as regards to rhetoric at the moment, because man, it is ramped up, and they are reading from a play script at the moment that you and I are 2 pages behind at the moment. So let's say the prayers. And as always, the verse of the day seems to mirror exactly what I said. Must be a linguistics thing. Verse of the day. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. And as always, folks, we'll finish with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Righto, folks, I'll leave it there. God bless. Prep out.